NYMLB Talk, New York's #1 baseball podcast. Now here's your hosts, Chris Pizzaya and Rob Maraska.
And welcome to a new episode of NYMLB Talk with your hosts, Rob and Chris. And remember, if you're watching us right now on YouTube, or if not, give us a sub on YouTube. And you can follow us everywhere on Twitter, on TikTok, Instagram. We're everywhere right now. Give us a follow there as well. Give Rob a follow on Twitter at Maraska. You can follow myself at CP7NY. So you'll be covered if you follow us anywhere, especially on YouTube. Give us a sub. But anyway, what's up, Rob? What's going on?
Chris, we know what's going on. The New York Mets had a disgraceful weekend in Pittsburgh. All right. I mean, it wasn't only horrible. It was disgraceful. They lost 3 straight to the Pittsburgh Pirates. What is going on with the Mets? We know the injuries. We know all of that stuff. But come on, the last place Pittsburgh Pirates, you got swept by them. That is a disgrace. And I don't usually go off. I usually don't go nuts. You know, baseball's a long season. But the Mets right now have got to start doing something.
Yeah, something's got to happen. I don't know if firing the coaching staff or firing Mendoza. I don't know if that's happening, right?
I don't think so. I don't know what's going on. Chris was going really well again today, and now he got knocked off. I don't know. We tested it out, and when we tested it out yesterday, he was fine. And I don't know. The Mets must be knocking him off, but he's a Yankee fan. Let's get into this. Yeah, let's get into this disgraceful weekend. All right, the Mets lost Friday night 9-1. Okay, 9-1. It's a game. It's not going to happen again. Saturday 9-2. Now you got to start worrying. What is going on with this team? Soto is finally starting to hit. All right, Soto is having a great June, one of the best Junes ever for a New York Met. And, you know, you figure, okay, he's hitting. Everyone else just hits a little. Everything's going to be good. No, what happens yesterday? They get destroyed. 12-1. 12-1. The Pittsburgh Pirates outscored the Mets this weekend 30-4. Let's think about that, Chris. 30-4. That is a disgrace.
That is a disgrace for a team that's been so good so far in the first half. For them to fall this far, listen, every team goes into a slump. We see it with the Yankees. We've seen it with the Mets. It happens, but they got to get going here. And like you said, the injuries definitely have taken a toll on this team. But like you said, no excuse. There's no excuse. I mean, now they got Milwaukee, who's coming in red hot as well, right? They're one of the better teams in the league right now.
And Milwaukee may have revenge on their minds, you know, after last year in the postseason. Yeah. So who knows? The Mets have got to do something, and they got to do it fast. This is ridiculous. Starting pitching, the bullpen. Look who's back. Dickie Lovelady. Oh, that's great. They sign him to a contract, then they DFA him, and then they re-sign him to another contract. You know, go Dickie. He's up and down, Dickie. But it's crazy what's going on with the Mets. And another thing, they did not have to face Skeens, right? Oh, yeah, and you're right, the bullpen, hideous. Yeah. The bullpen has been horrible. They had to bring in Jankowski yesterday, you know, which has been, you know, this has been getting to be the thing in Major League Baseball. You don't want to waste your bullpen, so you bring in a position player. He gave up 2 runs. His ERA is 18. And let's not forget about yesterday, Frankie Montas. After, you know, teasing us the way he pitched his first game back last week against the Braves, you know, a 0. He didn't give up any runs. He's back to usual. He gave up 6 earned runs in 4 innings. So now his ERA is 6. It's back to normal. You know, it went from 0 where he was kidding. He was fooling us about this, and now he's back. So that's another one. Frankie Montas. Ah, man. All right, we got the injuries. We know that with the pitching staff, but they keep bringing in these guys that the bullpen is just sucking it, and it's bad. They went from the best pitching staff, starting and bullpen, to this mess, Chris. I don't know. I don't know if you saw any of the game, any parts of the games, because the Yankees were playing at the same time, but it was just hideous. It was a mess.
Well, I think the bigger problem, too, is the offense. They're not scoring either. Yeah. I'm not saying they should score 13 runs, and outscore Pittsburgh, but you got to put up more of a fight than what they have, especially against a team like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not, and you didn't have Paul Skeens to worry about, so there was no excuse there. So I think it's like the offense, too, just as bad as the pitching is, right? I mean, right now, everything is just, when you lose 10-2, the pitching obviously gave up 10 runs, but where's the offense, right? Vientos came up. He's done nothing, right, so far in the first 3 games he's back.
Yeah, like Jonathan says, the bats are ice cold. Ice cold, you're not kidding. It's colder than the weather was in June in New York. That's how cold it was. Too many bums in the Mets lineup. Listen, they just have to start hitting. We saw what they could do, right? We saw it, although, the hitting wasn't great, it was the pitching in April and May. Let's face the facts. It was the pitching. But at least the offense, Alonso carried them on his back. Well, Juan Soto was having his problems. Now everyone's just cold. Lindor, everyone. And these guys, the All-Star break's coming up. They want to start in the All-Star game, and they got to start hitting now. All right? They got to start hitting. There's definitely going to be changes, which we'll talk about, because Steve Cohen put out a statement on X, which we got. So, we'll read that statement. But they're going, Milwaukee's coming in. Milwaukee's playing pretty good baseball. They're 2 games out of first. The Cubs are still on first. But, Milwaukee's, the past couple of years, Milwaukee's been giving the Mets trouble. Except for even in the playoffs they did. The Mets got lucky with that home run. But, they got to start hitting.
Here's Steve Cohen's tweet. Tough stretch, no sugarcoating it. I didn't see this coming. I'm as frustrated as everybody else. We will get through this period. Our injured pitching will come back over the next few weeks. It is unlikely the team's hitting with runners in scoring position will continue at this week pace. Keep the faith.
Well, what that says to me is that he's going to have Stearns make a move, and they're going to get a power hitter and hopefully some pitching. So that's something you could look forward to. And we have to convince Davey Johnson. Too bad Davey Johnson's 81 years old, because Davey Johnson, I interviewed Davey Johnson in 1985. Yes, I'm that old. When I was a kid, the Mets, Jay Horowitz was very gracious. The Mets were at some public thing. I was working at a small radio station. He let me come in and he let me talk to Davey and the Mets. So Davey was great, but Davey, of course, is way too old.
What about bringing in Beltran maybe to handle hitting, be the hitting coach? You think that'll help? You think changing, I'll say it this way. Do you think changing the hitting coach at all will change anything? Or do you think this is just something they got to work through?
They probably have to work through it, but bringing Beltran in uniform on the bench would not be a bad idea. Okay, that's a good idea. We know that he was hired as manager of the Mets, and we know he didn't get to manage a game because of the Houston problem. But you know what? Everything's good now. Beltran I would do that, Chris. That's a great idea. A lot of people would love that, and I would love it. So that is something. Maybe they're thinking about it. Who knows?
Yeah. The one thing I did hear something on MLB Network today on their show, MLB Central. John Morosi, the reporter, was saying that people that he's been talking to are saying that the Rockies are going to be more willing to sell this year than in years past. Because, in years past, they've never really been aggressive sellers. But obviously, we know how bad the Rockies are this year, and it would be the smart move to do to start their rebuild. Maybe there's somebody on the Rockies, and maybe not somebody on the Rockies, but maybe if the Rockies start to sell, maybe that'll kickstart, the teams starting to sell off, and trading and stuff like that. And then the Mets could possibly make a move, right? Because until then, I don't know if there's going to be a move to be made yet.
Yeah, I don't know. And Chris is gone again. So Joe Dell, let me just tell you this. Of course, Dave Johnson had one of the greatest lineups ever to work with. We know that. The 86 Mets and the other years, they should have won more than one World Series. But the team was wild. But my favorite team, 86 Mets. Anyway, yeah, Chris. Another thing I wanted to talk about: someone maybe being available, but we don't know how that would work. Luis Severino, Sevy. Is really not happy in Oakland and not Oakland. I'm sorry, Sacramento. It's hard to remember this stuff sometimes.
I know.
With the A's. So in Sacramento, he's not happy, and the A's are not happy, with him right now because he keeps complaining and bad-mouthing the stadium, that it's a minor league stadium, it's a spring training stadium. His record there is horrible. Horrible. He doesn't. One of the reasons he doesn't like it is because the clubhouse is not attached to the dugout, and when he pitches in between innings, he likes to go into the clubhouse and work his legs on the bike. He likes to work. Right. He's not happy with the situation. Now, we know how big that contract is. The biggest guaranteed contract in Oakland A's history, right? The A's want to get rid of him. Do you think the A's would be willing to? Now, remember, we're talking the A's. Would they be willing to eat any of that contract? Because they would have to. No one's going to pay Severino that much money. And Chris is gone again. Yeah, he's dropped. Yeah, that's a good one. It's
yeah, I agree.
The internet doesn't like Yankee fans, he said.
I think he's right. Yeah, I agree. I definitely the A's are gonna have to eat some of that contract. I totally agree to move Severino because nobody wants that deal because of Severino's injury history, and you know what? He hasn't pitched well this year either. Let's add that to the mix on top of the bad contract. So they're gonna have to eat some of that contract, just like what you guys did with Scherzer and Verlander a couple of years ago, right? They're going to have to do the same thing to get anything in return. Otherwise, they're going to have to take back next to nothing, from the Mets or from any other team. So I would assume they're going to have to pay a decent amount of the kind, probably not all of it, obviously, but definitely a decent amount to get rid of Severino at this point.
Now, are they willing to do that? Do they have the money to do that? Listen, right. They probably, the Mets have the prospects. Do the Mets want to bring them back? I mean, at a lower price, I don't know. Maybe they feel like they could bring him back to what he was last year with the Mets. They could work with him with the pitching lab and bring him back. He would be happy. And if he pitched well, the Mets would be happy. But it's just too much money. He went for the money. I can't blame him for going for the money.
No.
Right?
But you can't complain now. But you can't complain now that you took the money. That would be like Soto saying, "Oh, this was horrible." Yeah. You can't complain. I'm not saying he is, but you can't complain. Once you take the money, that's it. Make it, make the best of it and move on. And that's what Severino has to do. Maybe if he was pitching well, maybe a team would be like, "Hey, maybe we'll trade for you." But right now, nobody's going to want that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, who could blame you? And he doesn't like the ballpark. Guess what? That's going to be their ballpark for, if not his whole contract, for most of it, because what's going on in Las Vegas? What's going on in Vegas?
I think it's going to be at least 2 years, right? I think it's 2 more years they got to be there. So, like you said, that's going to be the entire contract.
I mean, you can't blame him. This is his last big contract that he was going to get. Age, he had to take advantage of the great year he had for the Mets last year. But this is what happens. Oakland, not Oakland. Again, I said Oakland. The A's, because you can't even call them Sacramento. The A's were willing to give him a contract, and no other team was going to give him a contract like that. The Mets probably would have re-signed him for a year. I think they wanted to re-sign him for a year with a club option, I think. He can't complain about it. This is the way it is, and we'll see. Maybe they can make a deal, but I don't know how much money the A's could eat of that contract.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's the key point right there. How much are the A's going to be putting up to I don't know if they can, right? They may not be able to. So, and you got a couple of points here too, because now do the Mets believe that they could turn Severino around, right? Maybe they've seen enough of him this year and say, you know what? He's lost it. He's not as good as he was last year. He's not worth the, 15, 20 million, whatever he is, a year signing, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So I think it's going to come down to, maybe staying away from him, but maybe looking at guys from the Rockies at first, what's his name? Herman Marquez. He's pitched well this month. Maybe he's a guy that they could bring in. He's been around a few years now, so it's not like he's a rookie. The guy's a veteran, so maybe.
Yeah, maybe they could bring him in, but the Mets have got to do something with the All-Star game right around the corner, the halfway mark. The Mets have got to do something. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk more about it after the Brewers series. But let's get to the Yankees. Well, we got Chris here.
I think if I talk too much, I think that's when I get cut off. So I'm going to try not to talk as much. How's that?
Okay. Well, I got to ask you about I got to ask you about the Yankees taking 2 out of 3 from the A's.
Yeah, no, thank God, right? Thank God they took the 2 out of 3. The bats finally awoke in that final game. They took Friday night.
All right, they took Friday night's game. Then they got shut out on Saturday, which, the A's just had one of those games, I guess. So they got shut out on Saturday. And we got TBK saying somebody on the Mets staff hears Chris talking reckless, and they're not today, Yankee.
Exactly.
That's good.
I think the more I talk, the more I get shut down here. So I think, there's a problem here with that. My internet's not the problem. My internet's full. I'm right next to the router. I'm literally sitting right next to the router. So I don't think I have to get a new. This has never happened to you. Even on all the shows with SportsWire, you were like the only one who never got knocked off, Yeah, I don't know.
It's
the browser. I guess I got to get. I updated Google Chrome a couple of times, so we
got to figure out why Safari won't let you on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Friday night, Jazz had a good night Friday night, right?
And Saturday. Sunday. Along with Judge 2 home runs. That gives him the 3rd most now in Yankee history. Multi-home run games. He's now at 44. And that passed Lou Gehrig with 43.
Just amazing. Passing Lou Gehrig with 43. He's amazing. I'm, diehard Met fan. But I appreciate what Aaron Judge has done for the Yankees. And how could you not? I mean, the guy is just
amazing right now.
Great, amazing. He's just amazing.
When you put Judge in.
I think the Winnick brothers are working their magic. They're going to be on a show pretty soon. The comedy magicians, because they keep making. My cousin came up with that line. They keep making Chris disappear.
The more I talk, I'm getting knocked off. So you do most of the talking here. So the Yankees got a 4-game series with the Blue Jays.
All right, with the Blue Jays, that if the Yankees start hitting like they're supposed to hit, I don't see that much. Not too many problems with the Blue Jays, but you never know. The Yankees had a tough time against the Reds, losing the games in extra inning. They lost that game, which they should have never lost. So who knows what's going to happen with the Blue Jays. But the Yankees, like I said, have the Blue Jays coming up. They're playing away, so we'll have to see what happens. I'm going to go to I want to give a plug to my cousin, Joe. Well, actually, I got to wait for Chris to come on because he actually has the photo to put up. So I'm just going to go to Dave Parker and the sad death of Pirate great Dave Parker. Passed away from Parkinson's disease at age 74 this weekend. Listen, Dave Parker, I grew up with Dave Parker. I saw him many times. Great hitter. And I was actually shocked to hear that his number was not retired by the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, are you kidding me? The Pirates have not retired Parker's number 39 yet? I don't understand that. One of the greatest Pirates of all times. Parker won 2 World Series, one with the Pirates, one with the A's. In fact, the one he won with the A's was the Earthquake Bay Area World Series in 1989, which I don't know if some of you guys are probably too young, but I remember watching that game before that game started. There was an earthquake and, the field just shook, and we know there was many deaths. It was really sad. It delayed the World Series, but Parker won that World Series with the Oakland A's, and he won one with the Pittsburgh Pirates in ¡78 against the Baltimore Orioles, TBK. That was the We Are Family Pittsburgh Pirates, which was a great Pirate team. And they won the World Series against our excellent Baltimore Oriole team in 1979. Anyway, his number is not retired by the Pirates. I can't believe that, Chris. Number 39 is not retired by Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, and he's played 11 years with Pittsburgh too. So I'm surprised his number's not retired yet by them.
Yeah, he had his greatest years with Pittsburgh. Also, he was pretty good with Cincinnati too. But I don't get it. But Nick Gonzalez, who plays for the Pirates now, and he's actually wearing number 39, which is another ridiculous thing that the Pirates still gave out his number. All right. He got elected to the Hall of Fame this year, which at least he passed away knowing he's in the Hall of Fame, even though, I feel bad. He's not going to be at the ceremonies. But he was elected to the Hall of Fame, and they gave his number to Nick Gonzalez, who said this weekend he's going to give up his number. So, that's really is a great thing that he's going to give up the number. And you know what? Pittsburgh should really retire that number, and they probably will now. I mean, now that he passed away. But he didn't get into the Pirates Hall of Fame until 2022. So I just don't understand. I don't understand that. I really don't understand why it took so long for Dave Parker, one of the best hitters in Pirates history, to get even, elected to Pirates Hall of Fame. Chris, are you there?
I think so.
Okay. Let's see if you could put up that Orthoflex sign before you get knocked off, and I'll just plug them really fast. All right, because I do want to give them a plug.
Okay.
All right. He's Orthoflex is a physical therapy and rehab place in Howard Beach, Queens. All right. They've been around for 15 years. And the owner, Robert, he's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. He's going to talk about sports injuries. So I'm really excited about that. We want to talk about Tommy John surgery and all the problems. There's their website. If you have any needs for physical therapy and you're in that area, Queens, Long Island, Brooklyn, check them out because they give you a personal physical therapy experience. It's not like those cold, large physical therapies franchises where you go in, they do heat. and the Thames machine, and that's it. Heat, ice, Thames machine, you're out of there. No, you get personalized service from Orthoflex. Okay, you get personalized. In fact, they do things that other places don't. They even they will go and have in-home services. Who does that? I don't know. No one does that anymore. So check out their website. Chris had it on, and any of your needs for physical therapy, sports medicine, everything. He's going to be on the show. So if you have any questions that you want to know about baseball injuries, just send them to me or Chris, and we'll ask him when he's on the show. Okay, so check out their website. All right, let's go. Let's get back to baseball right now, Chris. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with the Yankees?
Listen, the Yankees now they're up. I think right now, they're in a spot now. They got the 4 games coming up against Toronto.
Yeah,
they got to take at least 2, right? They got to at least split with them because this division has gotten much tighter, and they're in a spot where if they get swept by Toronto, they'll be out of first place, and Toronto will be in first place. It'll be Toronto and Tampa on top of them. So right now, the Yankees got to figure this out. They can't go into Toronto thinking, let's just get 1 game. They gotta at the very least split with them, and then head to Citi Field and take care. And then you got a 3-game series with the Mets, which obviously no matter how bad the Mets are playing, no matter how bad the Yankees are playing, that's going to be a tough series for both teams, right? So
yes.
They got to make sure they take at least split Toronto, because they also got a really tough July coming up for the Yankees. The Yankees got a really tough. Let me just see. I want to bring up real quick. Hopefully, I won't disappear on us. I just want to bring up the Yankees July schedule, because it's right now. I mean, it's tough. Right now it's one of the tougher ones that we've seen. Right, when you look at that,
yeah.
I mean, they got Toronto, then they got the Mets on the road, then they come home to play Seattle, Chicago, Cubs.
Yep, they come home to play the Cubs, so that's going to be another tough series. So the Yankees do have a tough schedule coming up in July. The Subway Series, by the way, our Subway Series special is going to be Thursday night after the Mets and Yankees games. After both the games is over, we're going to do the show on Thursday night because Friday is 4th of July holiday, so we're not going to be on Friday. So I just want you guys to know we will be on talking Mets and Yankees Subway Series. I'm going to see if we could get some people to come on Thursday night, some Yankee fans, Met fans, whatever. So we're going to have the Subway Series show on Thursday.
And if anybody knows anything about Google, I keep getting an error code 5 coming up. That's when I go off. It says error code 5. So if anybody knows what that is, send me a link or something to tell me how to fix it, because it's not. I don't think it's my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is full. I'm on it all day, and it's totally fine. So it has to do something with this browser. So
yeah, well, yeah. Let's get. If you guys don't want to hear me going on and on and on about by myself,
thank God we got Rob here to keep going on, man.
Let's get this fixed. But we're all looking forward to the Subway Series. I really want to have a good show on Thursday night. So, everyone listen to the show. If you have questions, send us anything on X. You could get me on, both of us on Facebook. We're everywhere now. We're doing great on all platforms, and we appreciate everything everyone's done for us. Also, I want to plug Joe. Do you have have Joe Dell's thing up there?
Yeah,
Joe,
let me put that up real quick before I disappear again.
Yeah, I want to get this up. And I see that TBK sent us a message on Facebook about the problem you're having. So when we're off we'll check it out. Maybe he can talk you through it. So
okay.
The message just came up from him. But Joe has some music for sale, and there's where you could get it. Joe put together our opening and our closing themes. He did the music. That's him playing the keyboards for our opening, which is the same organ as used in Yankee Stadium. Okay, so that's why it sounds like that. Check out his songs. He has a bunch of them for sale. They're great. There's the website. Go there. It's not expensive. Couple of bucks. Just check out the songs. Give Joe, really give him a listen. Excellent keyboard, and he taught himself the keyboard. That's the best. Years and years and years of practice. His band Sleepy Hollow played all over the city. They have albums. If you look it up on the internet, he has a website. So just check it out. Let's support Joe Dell. He's a good guy.
What's the name of what's his website for Sleepy Hollow? To put that
I think it's sleepyhollow.com or Sleepy Hollow Music. I don't have it on me. Joe, you can type it up in your right now. You can type it up in the comments while we're talking, and people could go to it. So if you want, just type it in, and we'll put it up. But Joe plays the keyboards. He's great. In fact, Joe did our last Subway Series pregame. He was on, and we got a lot of views. So check Joe out. Joe's a good guy. Anyway, so we got the Mets. The Mets have got, like we were talking about, the Mets have got to make some moves. It can't go on like this. It really can't go on like this. They're too good. Listen, their lineup, no matter what's happening now, Chris, their lineup, they have hitters. Come on, Alonso, Soto, Lindor. They all can't stay cold. They're going to hit again. But it's just a bad time and against a bad team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's what gets me. And you cannot. Those are the games you have to win. You cannot get swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. You just can't let that happen.
Yeah, no, right? I agree. Listen, just like with the Yankees, hopefully I get this in, just like with the Yankees, right? When the top guys don't hit, right, it's that bottom part that has to get going too. And unfortunately with both our teams, that second half of the lineup is not getting it done when the top part of the lineup is not getting it done, right? I think that's the biggest problem with the Yankees and with the Mets, because the Mets, the top guys are all struggling. Yeah, Soto got hot. Obviously, he's hitting, doing his thing, but the rest of the lineup is just not doing it. And somebody has to get going. Somebody has to spark the offense, whether it's, and it's more than just Soto. Lindor in a really bad slump the last few weeks, especially since the toe, right? He's the guy, right? Let's be honest. When he's on fire, the rest of the lineup is on fire. More than anybody else, I think it's Lindor. I'm not blaming Lindor, but he's got to get going, right? Offensively, he's got to get going.
Yeah, we don't know how bad that toe injury really was, but the deal is they had a clubhouse meeting too after Friday's loss, right? Or Saturday's loss. They have a clubhouse meeting, and then they come out and they lose 12-1 on Sunday. So what was said in that meeting? I mean, it got worse. It went from 9-2 to 12-1. What kind of clubhouse meeting was that? Yeah, Lindor has got to take charge. They need somebody to take charge. Okay, Lindor is the one they say, well, if the Mets name another captain, it's going to be Lindor. Yeah, you're right. But, he's got to, and who knows what he said in the clubhouse. A lot of bad luck and everyone in the slump at the same time. All right. You could see what happened when Ohtani, what am I talking about? When Senga, this is what the Mets do to me. When Senga went down, how the team deflated. Yeah, it is. I'm going nuts. When Senga hurt himself, you could see that they got a little deflated.
Oh yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
because
And then Cannon got hurt, right? I think
yeah,
that deflated them. I think also too. Listen, Manaya's not there, but I'm sure hearing Manaya's, the rehab had to stop, right, or whatever. It's like, oh, now what? When you start getting that mentality, like, oh, now what? Now this is happening. Now this is happening. So when we
right.
start losing a game against Pittsburgh, it's like, oh, now we're losing against Pittsburgh. It's hard to get going. So hopefully, you know what? Back home against Milwaukee, Milwaukee's a really good team, but hopefully,
Yeah, they are.
you know what the Mets need? The Mets need to get on top quick, right? They need to score runs quickly on Milwaukee, because if they get down, guess what? If Milwaukee scores first and they score 2 or 3 runs early, then it's going to be like, oh, here we go again. Oh, we're not going to win this one either, right? So it's got to change.
And that bullpen is taxed. I mean, they keep they're bringing someone up. They're DFAing them. They're bringing someone else up. But the main guys are taxed. Thank God Brooks Raley will be back after the All-Star game sometimes. They really need him. Manaea, he'll be back, but not until, I'm feeling like towards the end of July for Manaea. And hopefully he doesn't get shut down again. But they need to get a pitcher. They definitely do, and they need to get a hitter. They need a bat to light things up. So hopefully, listen. Cohen has felt this. Citi Field has had a playoff atmosphere since April. All right. It's been filled. It's been rocking. People have been going crazy. He likes to see that. Everybody likes that. If the Mets start losing now and they start dropping out, that place is going to be totally different. It's going to go dead again. And he doesn't not want that to happen. So I'm sure Steve Cohen is going to make some moves, and the Mets are going to get some new blood they got to kickstart them. So we'll have to see what happens with the trade deadline. And hopefully the Mets make some smart moves, because we know, past couple of years, they haven't made the best deals at the trade deadline. But hopefully things are different now. They just have to, listen, they could sweep Milwaukee and we're not going to be talking about this anymore. That's all it takes. Sweep Milwaukee and things are different. And then take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, or maybe, Chris, sweep the Yankees.
Listen, at this point, you never know. You never know, because I've seen the Yankees be, red hot and then ice cold in a matter of one series to the next, right? So as bad as you guys are playing, even if the Yankees come in red hot, does it matter? No, because it's like a new series. And Subway Series, it's like everything is thrown away, and it's the Subway Series, right? No matter what.
Right.
Even if the Mets lose, 2 out of 3 to the Brewers, and and they go into the Subway Series ice cold, I think they could just erase that and say, okay, it's the Subway Series, it's the Yankees. It's time. It's time to play ball. And especially that series, it's right before the All-Star break coming up too. So I think this is what they needed to get back home and to start playing, their brand of ball, start scoring runs early. Like I said, I think that's what they need. They need to score runs early in the game, to just get on top, because if they start losing, it's going to be the same thing. Oh, here we go. We're down 3-0 against this team. We've been here before. What do we do now? So
yeah. Hey, listen, Citi Field, we know the atmosphere is going to be, postseason atmosphere when the Yankees come into Citi Field. It's going to be crazy for both teams. I mean, it's in baseball, that's the best. I guess you can't call it the best Subway Series because it's the Freeway Series in California, right? But it's the best series where, they're playing,
series.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, nothing's like it. It's like, people go nuts on each other. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of craziness. So at least, we have that to look forward to. Then, the All-Star break. Listen, The Mets are off today. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm glad the Mets are off today because I can't sit through another game like the Pittsburgh series. I can't take it. It was ridiculous. Giving up 30 runs to the Pittsburgh Pirates and only scoring 4 runs. That was horrible. Let's hope that that's the low point of this season for the Mets. Let's just hope that it's the low point because I don't know. I don't know.
And real quick, before I get knocked off again, the
Yes.
All-Star voting, right? Mets
Yes.
fans, if you want Lindor, if you want Alonso, get out there and vote. Get on your website, get on whatever. Vote these guys in because they're going up against, they're going up against 2 Dodgers. And you know what happens with the Dodger fans? They're just gonna keep voting. So if you want to see Alonso and if you want to see Lindor, because they're both going against Alonso's going against Freeman, Lindor is going up against Mookie Betts at shortstop, right? So both of those guys, you got to get out there and vote. And Yankee fans, if you want Goldschmidt, first base.
Yes, you're right. They do. I don't understand how the Dodgers could get more votes in Los Angeles than New York. I mean, there's more people in New York. It shouldn't be that way. You guys got to vote. Excuse me. You guys definitely have to vote. So get out there and vote for your favorite Mets. Get out there and vote for your favorite Yankees. I'm usually not a cheerleader for all-star voting, but let's get out there and let's hope both Mets and Yankees stay away from the home run derby because don't get me started on the home run derby again. All right. I'm just, I don't want to hear that Pete Alonso is going to be in the home run derby again because I just do not want to hear Pete Alonso or any Mets are in the home run derby. Enough with the home run derby already because it messes up their timing. I don't care what anybody says. It messes up their timing. But that's it. You know what, Chris? Since you keep getting knocked off, I'm about done for this week. It's okay. We'll figure it out. Everybody, check us out. Like Chris said, on YouTube. Give us a follow or a subscription. Subscribe to it. You've been great to us on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on TikTok. We're getting tons of views on TikToks and tons of followers on TikTok, Chris. So it's great.
It's amazing. It's amazing the support that everybody's given us everywhere. And we appreciate every single one of you guys and everybody for joining us every week. We really do appreciate it. And we're going to keep trying to get better. Like myself with my browser here. I promise I'm going to get better. I got my daughter home, so she's going to help me get through this.
Great.
But definitely follow us everywhere, especially on YouTube. Hitting that sub button is really great for us. Otherwise, TikTok, like Rob said, TikTok, Instagram, and we're on on Twitter as well. Follow Rob actually at R Maraska. You can follow myself at CP7NY on Twitter. And listen, check Joe Dell out on Facebook. Give him a follow, and then you could get a link. We showed you the link before to purchase his songs. You could purchase his songs right there. So if you want to give him a follow right on Facebook, give him a follow right there. Great music, and ask him about the Sleepy Hollow music as well. You can check that out as well.
Yeah, that's it. So thanks, guys. We'll catch you Thursday night after the Mets and Yankees both finish their games. So Thursday night, probably 10-ish or so. We'll see you Thursday night. Thanks.